At night. And the thunder rolls. Well, good morning, guys. How are y'all today? Guys, I'm out in the greenhouse today and it's raining. Wind's blowing 40 miles an hour, cold. Supposed to get colder. But I didn't want to sit in the house and I didn't really have much to do. So I just decided I'd come out here and play. Now I know when I come out here, I said, well, I ain't showed my old tomatoes here. I'll get y'all down here and show you these tomatoes in a minute. But if you remember these two tomato plants, I said I was going to bring them in this greenhouse this fall and winter, and I was going to run my diesel heater and keep it about 50 degrees on them cold nights and see what these tomatoes would do, just as me an experiment. I had an idea what they was going to do. And I done that for a long time there. Every night that it was going to get cold, I'd like to turn this diesel heater on and keep it above 50 degrees. Well, it has little tomatoes on it, but it grew them tomatoes and they was about that size way before it ever got to the cold nights. Once it ever got to them cold nights and them days wasn't getting extremely hot, it's like everything come to a standstill. So that proved to me in my little experiment that just keeping a tomato plant around 50 degrees, you ain't gonna get nothing out of it to make it worth my while anyway. But there was a couple nights there in a row. The first night it got down there around freezing. I forgot to come out here and turn the heater on. And that's when I decided that was it for that test. But I just let them go. I ain't done nothing else, just to see what would happen. And that's been going on for about the last month. It'll warm up in here on them sunny days, but them nights getting down there close to 30. A couple nights below 30. But you can see they look terrible. But what's weird to me, see how pretty that one limb is? Making little blooms. Got little blooms, but they ain't gonna make no tomatoes. And now them there was made. Look at them blooms. But as old as this tomato plants are, them first tomatoes that come on them should have then been grown into big tomatoes, turn red and eat. So 50 degrees, you might keep your plant going, but from my experiment, it ain't doing nothing. Ain't gonna do nothing. Shooting out a new sucker. But that's during them days when that sun out, it gets warm in here, but then the nights is so cold. And since I ain't trying to keep it heated no more, and never did try to keep it heated above 50, that was my test. I wanted to see what a tomato plant done at about 50 degrees for myself. Even though you have an idea, I just wanted to see if you could make anything. Now on the other hand, you look down here at the cabbage, them few cabbage plants I put in there. They are beautiful, but they ought to be way further along than that, as long as they've been in here. And there's the broccoli I had in here. That's the only things I started with that I remember. I had some leftover onions. The only reason they in here, I put them in here when I planted my onions out in case some didn't take. I could come in here and get them to replace them, and I just ain't never come in here and got them. So them mares, I'll take them out one day. And I ain't trying to grow onions in the greenhouse. They was just keeping them in here in case I needed them. Oh, I did start some lettuce in here again. At first round, it got so hot it didn't make it. And then I done started some more here just to have some in the greenhouse. Won't be long. I mean, that ain't much lettuce, but it won't be much longer. Cut enough for me and my wife a salad. Like I said, this is just a something for me to play with. It ain't like I'm trying to grow a bunch of something in the greenhouse. But this is how I kill time. Gives me something to do. Like I said, I knew when I started this out, if you would have been trying to say I was going to keep this greenhouse hot enough to get tomatoes off these two plants, well, you're going to be spending a lot of money on fuel for the little heater or electricity. And I knew I wasn't going to do that. I just wanted to do it around that 50-degree mark just to see what would happen. It's keeping the plants alive. But I think my next experiment with this is, now that I know this is ain't gonna get no tomatoes. Them tomatoes right there, like I said, they should have been big, done grown and eat a month ago. So what I think I'm gonna do it like I done the pepper plant. Oh, the pepper plant's what I had in here to start. If some of you remember, I brought a pepper plant in here, and this was the big pepper plant out of the garden. The night before the first hard frost, I dug it up and put it in this pot, and I didn't have it cut this short. It was still about 2 foot tall. And now it did make a couple little peppers before we got into our cold nights. And then I come out here one day, and this is what I'm finna do with these tomatoes. I just chopped it off. Got y'all over here where you can see now. I just chopped it off, and I'm gonna just keep this in the greenhouse. You can see it started putting out some new limbs here. But I'm gonna keep this in the greenhouse all winter. And this spring, I'm gonna plant this back out in the garden and see what happens. I'm gonna see if it'll start and make peppers before freshly planted. This is just stuff I like doing for myself. It gives me something to do. I like trying things, see what's gonna happen. But I think that's what I'm gonna do to the tomatoes. I'm gonna just cut them off down there about, I don't know, maybe 16 inches tall, so I can push them back out of my way when I get in here. It ain't gonna be much longer time to start starting some seeds. Which today I'm playing around. I was out in the shed. This was one of them big old, I think it was called a 162 tray. I got a couple years ago from Haas Tools. A good heavy duty tray. But the thing about them big old trays, that's the bottom pan part. That's how big it was. When you're just a home gardener like I'm doing raised beds, well, you don't need very many plants of each thing you're gonna plant. Well, if you try to plant all of them in this one big tray and take them in the house or in your greenhouse and put them under the grow light, certain things is going to grow faster than the other plants, and it's just going to shade them out and they won't grow. So I done got, after doing that the first time I used this to start a whole bunch of zinnias that year, and it worked great. I was starting all of one thing. Then I never did use it no more because it just wouldn't work. So today in the shop, I got in there and I cut it in pieces. I got some cut in 2 trays, so that's 18. That'll be just right for each of my 5-foot beds. Just say if I'm gonna do cabbage, I just start 18 of them. Most time you ain't gonna get all 18. I get the best ones, the prettiest ones out when I plant them. Then I got 2 or 3 and 3, and then one of them I left with 4. So I can plant different things. But I think I'm gonna plant me up today, just for playing, some herbs. But I ain't gonna take them in the house. I'm gonna just plant them out here, and I'm gonna see if they start on their own as the temperature starts warming up. And they may start on get warmed up enough to start, and then we get another hard cold, and it might knock them back down. But again, I don't care, 'cause I got so many seeds, and the seeds is getting 3 and 4 years old, so you might as well play with them, and ain't nothing else to do on a cold, rainy day like this but get out here and experiment. Another thing I'm doing, I had to drop in at the corner market today, so I got me a bag of potting mix and a bag of peat moss. And I already got some vermiculite and some perlite, and I'm mixing me up some seed starting mix. Now I always like using my own compost and just run it, screen it out, and start my seeds in it, but last year I didn't do that because I was scared my compost was too hot with all that manure in it. So I bought me a big old bag of that Pro Mix. I said, well, that'll be enough for last year and this year, and it would be enough for this year. Cause there's how much I had left out of that bag or Pro Mix, and that would be enough for me to start my seeds this year. But guys, I done screened this, and I done mixed some other stuff with this. You can see I done put some vermiculite in it. And actually I forgot I had this in here left and done mixed this up when I went to town a while ago. But this stuff straight out of the bag apparently ain't the same Pro Mix that everybody talks so good about for seed starting. Now I know I like watching Travis over at Lazy Dog Farm, and that's all he uses is that Pro Mix, but apparently this I got wasn't the same he uses, because that was some of the horriblest mess I ever seen. The sticks and chunks and everything in it, so I didn't like it. But like I said, I actually forgot that I had that, but I remember now I done mixed other stuff up in there and screened that, but it still don't look near about as pretty as this right here. Now what this is, it's not even seed starting mix as far as sold for it. But I just bought a bag of that Fruit of Loom Ultra potting mix. And I bought a bag of that peat called Gardener's Magic. I ain't never used that stuff. That's some pretty stuff. And just to mix some up, I put 1 part Fruit of Loom, 1 part of the Peat Garden Magic, to a half a part of vermiculite, half a part of perlite. That's some pretty seed starting mix there. Now I know a lot of people, they want sterilized seed starting mix and all that, but I ain't never cared about sterilized seed starting mix. And so this is what I'm starting with this year. When I was mixing this up, I was thinking about going and getting like 1 part of my aged compost now that I got some older out there. And I still may do that. It's just started raining and I couldn't go get none, plus it's wet. So just for this experiment and time killing day, I'm gonna just plant straight into there. And before I start all my seeds starting for the spring, who knows, I may mix a little of that in there, just look at it and see what it looks like. I ain't very picky. But anyway guys, I just wanted to show y'all a little update while I was out here. I don't even know what I'm gonna plant up, seed up, but I am gonna cut them tomatoes down, and I wanted to show what was going on and give an update on that. I always try to give an update on stuff that I say I'm testing or trying for myself, just so somebody else can learn something about it. Or you might be able to leave down in the comments, tell me about your experience doing this, playing in these little greenhouses. What temperature you got to keep something to actually grow a tomato. But like I said, I know outside you can't grow tomatoes when it's staying 50 degrees, and that's all I was trying to do. But in this greenhouse, it was getting hot in the day, up in the 80s, and I guess that's why it keeps putting on these blooms. But yet it getting too cold at night, and 50 degrees at the low at night. And the thunder rolls. Got some thunder. But anyway, 50 degrees at night on these 2 plants here showing me that ain't working. So guys, as always, if you got any comments, please post them down there in the bottom. If you got any questions, I'll try to answer anything I can. I ain't no professional gardener, and I ain't no professional nothing. I I just like trying different things that most people won't try, or either they'll read saying it won't work, and I don't believe stuff when it says it won't work and all that. I like doing my own trials. It's kind of like when you get seeds in packs. Almost every pack of seeds is going to tell you to plant this seed a 1/4 inch deep, or a 1/2 inch deep, or 1 inch deep. But guys, that's just the seed companies. They have to put something on there. So that's just kind of like a shotgun email, covers all of it. I plant seeds, sometimes they barely cover it, sometimes they deeper it. Certain seeds, yeah, you plant them too deep, they ain't gonna come up. Certain seeds, if you ain't got them covered up enough, you let them dry out, they're gonna come up. That's just the things I'm trying to point out here. Everything ain't written in stone just cause it's on a paper, or old Joe Blow says that's the way it should be done because great-great-grandpa done it, or whatever. I like trying different things. But anyway, it's starting to rain, and I know it's hard for y'all to hear, so I hope y'all have a great day. Blessed week. God bless. See y'all next time.